Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. I think we've got everybody here. Excuse my voice today. I'm losing it, but I am Judy Stelling and I'm with GetSetUp and your host for today. And we're so excited because we have a wonderful employer to share with you today, Great Hearts Academies. And we will be able to share information about the school itself. Great Hearts is a network of 43 schools. They're public schools, tuition free, located in Texas, Arizona, and soon to be Louisiana. But in addition to the brick and mortar schools, they have online academies. Both of these institutions are ones for which they're seeking teachers. So we're excited to be able to share this opportunity with you today. And even in addition to the teaching positions, they've got non-teaching positions too. So there's a lot of fun things that you'll hear about and hopefully get your questions answered about what it might be like to teach at Great Hearts Academies, even either in person or online. So on that note, I'm going to turn it over very shortly to Keon Mapes, who's the Senior Vice President of Talent, and Felicia Snee, who's the National Faculty Talent Recruiter, when they're going to share information about Great Hearts. So I'm going to stop sharing, Keon and Felicia, and let you guys take over.
Okay.
Wonderful. Judy, thank you so much for that introduction, and thanks so much for the opportunity to get to speak with you all. We're biased, of course, but Great Hearts is just about my favorite thing to talk about, other than my family. So my family and then Great Hearts, which is in and of itself very, very near and dear to my heart and functionally very much like a family. So Felicia, I think, is going to share some slides because I think I'd like to just represent and share with you, give you kind of a window into the unique, distinctive features of Great Hearts communities that we have at our 43 schools. Felicia, are you able to share the screen? It might just take a moment to.
Yeah, should be set.
Yeah, there we
Should
go.
be about set. There we go.
Perfect. As you heard from Judy, we are a network of currently 43 schools, and that's including our 2 online academies. We have home offices in all of the regions in which we operate brick and mortar schools. We have folks that work on the ground in person at our academies, and we also have folks that work in our home offices, but from remote locations. In fact, I am sitting in one of our home offices in North Texas. I live in Grapevine, which is in the DFW area. Felicia works primarily remotely from Phoenix, Arizona. And so I have team members that are in various regions in which we currently have schools. As Judy noted, we're operating in 4 different locations and regions right now, and they're great locations. They're places that we're really happy to be. Phoenix, Arizona is where we began as a network, and San Antonio is where we went next, then Dallas-Fort Worth area. And in the fall, this coming fall, although we already have people out there on the ground, as it were, we will be opening a school in Baton Rouge. So if you go back one slide, Felicia, these are just sort of the basics about our schools. As Judy mentioned, we're public nonprofit schools, charter schools that receive state aid funding, but have some freedoms that district schools don't typically have, both in terms of hiring and the diversity of educational and experiential backgrounds from which we can hire teachers, and then also some freedoms in regards to the curriculum that we teach. We began with one school back in 2004 that had about 280 students. We now serve over 24,000. I think it's actually closer to 25,000 currently today, across the grade levels of kindergarten through 12th grade. We are a school model that is much in demand, as evidenced by the number and proportion in each of our regions of students and families that are on our wait list. We have an open enrollment policy, so enrollment is determined by lottery. That determines the waitlist order and the number and the students and the families that will be able to enter during the open enrollment period. We are consistently growing, and in fact, we've made some commitments over the next 5 years to nearly double our students and families that we serve by way of expanding in the regions that we're currently in, expanding our online academies and classical ed programs that we're executing there, as well as moving into new locations. The next state that's on our radar and will certainly be opening in fall of 2024 will be Jacksonville, Florida, that area. And then in following years, we're likely, very likely to head into Colorado. Again, both in terms of the online academies as well as building new brick and mortar academies. If we zoom past a couple of slides here and head to our purpose slide, our mission statement as a network of academies is here to cultivate the hearts and minds of students through the pursuit of truth, goodness, and beauty. Now, I mentioned to you that we're public, open enrollment, tuition-free academies. That's because always central to our mission has been this idea, first voiced by Mortimer Adler, who's an educational philosopher that you may be familiar with. He notoriously said, the best education for the best is the best education for all. This has always been very central to our mission, that there shouldn't be a barrier, economic or otherwise, to the very best education and the very best educational communities. However, if you were to walk into one of our schools, it will feel in many ways very distinct from a typical public school and typical public school system. One of the ways in which it's different is that our central mission is pretty distinct. It's more about character and the thoughtfulness and what it means to live a good life, things that are connected to the philosophical orientation of our students and our teachers and our graduates, more than utilitarian aims, right? We're not about primarily getting kids into the best universities in the country, though that happens every year. We're not about preparing students to have tremendously successful careers across all disciplines and industries, although that happens as well. We're primarily about cultivating the hearts and minds of our students through the pursuit of the virtues of truth, goodness, and beauty. Now, the model of classical education, if we go to the next slide, the model of classical education is in and of itself pretty distinct. There's this orientation towards the virtues, and it's also about, it's an orientation towards a particular view of the human person. We hold that that each individual has inherent dignity as a human being. And so we're not viewing our students as test scores or career prep kids that are going to make lots of money and achieve astounding things in their university adult life, but rather our main purpose is the formation of the soul, heart, and mind. So we're really seeking to graduate thoughtful leaders of character. We have a broader aim. We believe that we can contribute to a more philosophical, a more humane, a more just society by way of producing graduates that are of thoughtful character. Now, that doesn't come about in a happenstance way, but rather we believe very clearly that this comes about because of the adults that are in front of the classrooms at all of our schools. So if you head to the next slide, the school, we believe, is a faculty. So no matter who you speak to within our organization, I'm confident that probably the third word out of their mouth would be something about the teachers and the faculty, because in fact, they are the distinguishing character of the Great Hearts schools and the Great Hearts program. So we're invested really at every level, and how can we grow and develop and cultivate an environment in which the teachers, the adults in the community are in fact the models of what it means to get to live a good life, how one should interact with others, how one should seek to communicate, how one should seek to contribute to their community, etc. So the communities that we create are definitely defined by the faculty that we're able to attract to our schools. So what is it that we look for in a teacher at Great Hearts? We have a phrase that we say a lot, which sounds perhaps a little vague or mysterious, but I'll try and explicate it a little bit. We're looking for people, individuals that are themselves intellectually, morally, and aesthetically lively. So what does that mean to be intellectually, morally, and aesthetically lively? Intellectually lively. Well, we're a school, right? We're looking for lifelong learners. We're looking for individuals who, irrespective of their own background and education and experience, are continuing to seek understanding and knowledge and ways to contribute, that they have a heart of service, comes across in many ways. They read books, right? They've continued to study things in depth. They have a variety of interests. They're not narrowly focused on one particular academic content area, for example. Morally lively people. We want individuals who are themselves models of living a good life. Are they virtuous, right? Do they have a proper orientation towards civil discourse and the way in which communities are strengthened by genuine compassion for a love of the good things? Aesthetically lively doesn't mean, as I'm often asked, I'm often challenged by this one in this way. People say, well, I can't draw. You know, I'm a terrible artist and I'm not a musician, right? And what we mean by aesthetically is really that there's an appreciation for the beautiful, the beauty in a poem, the beauty in the space of the classroom. You walk down one of our hallways and what you'll see is art, masterworks of art or copies of those masterworks, right? Not posters of kittens hanging from branches saying hang in there, right? So there's a deep appreciation for things that are beautiful in the world. Also, as noted here, it's pretty important that we're hiring individuals who are chiefly animated not just by the things that they love, whether that's mathematics or science or literature, but rather chiefly animated by introducing other people, hopefully young people especially, to those things that they love. So where do we find these people? Who are our teachers? One of the things that I hope I can convey, and I'm eager to talk about more in the Q&A time, is another distinctive quality of our schools, which is the diversity, the sheer diversity amongst our faculty and our non-teaching business professionals that are on our campuses. The diversity of backgrounds, both in education and also in experience, that has shaped our communities to be places of a lot of potential, right? We do not, one of those freedoms that I was referencing earlier, we are not required by the states in which we operate, schools currently, to rehire only teachers that are certified or only individuals that have achieved a degree in education from a college of education. So we happily hire those individuals, and there are a few partner institutions with very strong colleges of education. But the majority of our hiring is actually from the college campuses, from that end of the spectrum. It's across disciplines, right? It's hiring the engineering major to teach physics, hiring the great books liberal arts graduate from Thomas Aquinas College or St. John's College in Annapolis, hiring them to come and teach our Humane Letters seminar course, and the like. So the diversity of backgrounds in our employee base is a huge strength for us. And as I said earlier, a school is a faculty. So we are quite definitively the result of, and every success that we've achieved, I would say, is the result of the community of adults that we have working in our institution. We have hired very recently some what I would consider to be sort of novel pipelines or new pipelines. Not that they were new for us, but it was an area, a candidate pool in which we didn't see very many other educational institutions searching and promoting their opportunities. Two in particular that might be of interest to your members, Judy. One is the retiree career changer group of individuals, right? So that engineering major, someone who was in business, or a longtime homeschooling mom that is wanting to enter the workforce. Another category that we're really excited about it are folks that have a military association, whether they're a military spouse. We were just inducted into the Department of Defense's Military Spouse Employment Partnership. I was trying to get the acronym right, network of employers, which is very exciting. But also folks that are exiting the military and wanting to enter the civilian workforce. So those are just two examples or a few examples of diversity of backgrounds in education and experience that are really important to us. We're interested in content expertise, but we're also interested in the natural attributes and intuitions that we've noticed our best candidates have around working with young people, communicating effectively, appreciating and having some good sense and instincts around how to order and organize a classroom, those sorts of things. What if I've never taught before, right? So is it possible that you can hire into a school, especially a network like ours that has such a rigorous curriculum, core curriculum? Is it possible to hire someone who's never stood in front of a group of 25 kids and taught them something? Yes, it is, and we do it every day. So one of the ways in which we do that successfully is that we look for those natural intuitions and teaching instincts and desires. And then we also bring folks into a program that is really designed to help hone the craft of teaching. One of the ways in which this is accomplished is through our apprentice or assistant teacher program. These are paid internship programs, essentially, wherein our teaching assistants or our apprentice teachers are not peripheral in the corner grading papers, but rather co-teachers in the classroom. All of our K-5 classrooms have two teachers in the room. There's a lead teacher who has Great Hearts experience typically, and then there's also an apprentice teacher or an assistant teacher who may teach a portion of the lessons, maybe based in the content area expertise that they have, or maybe they're just leading reading groups, or they're working in our Singapore math small groups, or they're assisting with the organization of students and the transport of students from one classroom to the next. All wide range of experience as a new teacher that allows our apprentice teachers and our assistant teachers to discern whether teaching is something that they enjoy and that they have some natural gifts. And it also allows them to observe a lead teacher or a master teacher at work, and also delivering lessons, receiving observation and feedback, etc. That's true for our apprentice teacher program. Our assistant teacher program is a little bit different and may be of more interest and relevance to your group, Judy, in that we have a lot of those parents or retirees or career changers that are working as assistant teachers in part-time positions, not because they aspire to become a lead teacher full-time the following year, but because they actually want to contribute to this community and earn an income, etc. But they also want to go home at the end of the day or go home midday without the load of grading and evaluation and parent communication and lesson planning and that sort of thing. So this is a great opportunity for that diversity of experience and background to come into play through our assistant teacher programs. The last slide here is really a good reminder for me, because I talk about teachers and teaching incessantly, but I also need to remember that there are so many roles outside of classroom teaching roles that Great Hearts has to offer to the right candidates and the right individuals. So they're outlined here, and you'll see them on the GetSetUp job board as well. The mid-year teaching and faculty roles are much along the lines of what I've been describing, both the assistant teacher positions, the lead teaching positions, the apprentice teaching positions, etc. We have online teaching roles at our 2 online academies that are also for which we're also conducting active searches. But then we have these next 2 co-curricular roles. We have the outside of the classroom day and outside of the school day, we have an Athenaeum after school program, which are part-time opportunities. It is academic in nature. We have an athletics and extracurricular program, so full slate of academics for coaches, etc. We also have substitute teachers. These are temporary seasonal roles by definition. They can be based at one school, or they can be sort of on a case by case with short-term assignments at multiple schools within our region. And then finally, we have non-teaching roles, both at the academy level, say in the form of a school nurse or a health assistant or an office manager or a registrar, etc. But we also have home office positions in finance and in development and in operations and in IT, etc. So a wide spectrum of opportunities. And I wanted you to have a real sense of what's behind everything that we do, and what's in the minds and hearts of all of our employees, irrespective of their role, is this core mission of cultivating a particular kind of young person and setting them up for entry into an adult life and into a society that they will hopefully improve as a result of the model that they've had in the communities of our academies.
Okay. Well, thank you, Kian. That was a wonderful introduction to Great Hearts. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
What we'd like to do now is open up the lines. If anybody has any questions in particular you'd like to ask, this is the opportunity to ask those questions and get responses from Kian. So are there any questions that anybody has?
Well, I was just trying to write down where to look up these positions that are available and how to apply.
I can
Great.
go back to that.
Okay.
Share that
You can-
screen again.
You can, and you can also just go to jobs.getsetup.com.
Jobs.
And jobs.getsetup.com, and you'll see all the jobs there, and you'll see more information about Great Hearts.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's going to be linked to our main site very shortly, but for right now, go to jobs.getsetup.com.
Okay, great.
That link is posted in the chat also, in case you missed it, so you can see it there.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Sure.
That's what
So
I want.
Gilda, do you have a background in education?
No. But I did teach. I did a lot of teaching assistant in computer type,
Wow.
school. That's where my expertise comes in is in computers. So
That's fantastic.
yeah. So
I have a question. Oh,
go ahead.
I had a question. I missed the beginning. And are there any part-time positions through this too?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. So the primary part-time teaching opportunities would be in our apprentice teaching or assistant teaching roles. And so you'll see those in the main sort of faculty application outlined there. So we do have part-time teaching roles. Again, they're largely in the form of those assistant teaching roles. Occasionally, we might have a part-time French position or Spanish position or German position or something like that. But usually outside of the modern language instruction, all of our teachers are full-time teachers. So assistant teachers in terms of teaching. Outside of teaching, so in the form of substitute teaching or coaching or working in the Athenaeum program, which is that after school instruction-based, but also they do, athletics and activities and those sorts of things. In our after-school program, those are also by definition part-time roles.
So is Athenaeum essentially tutoring?
It is essentially tutoring, although there are lessons that are offered. They also have guest speakers that come in, those sorts of things. So it's a pretty wide variety. But all of our elementary schools have Athenaeum after-school programs.
Great.
Okay, I have another Zoom call, so I have to go. So thank you. I'll definitely go check this out. Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
So can you touch a little bit more on the online schools and how they operate a little bit?
Sure. We opened, and I think we're not unique in this way, but we opened the online academies really out of necessity during the pandemic, right? What we discovered is that we were far more effective than we thought we would be. It was a strange thing to say, but we thought, particularly in our model of classical education, which really requires a lot of dialogue. Our instruction is primarily Socratic, named for Socrates, right? So we're classical great books curriculum, that sort of makes sense. But notably, if you look at the Platonic or the Socratic dialogues, what you notice is that teaching is not primarily didactic there. So it's not a teacher at the board, but rather a conversation between the teacher and the student. That principle really is at work at all of our classrooms. We didn't imagine that that would translate well to an online environment. We were pleasantly surprised that we could, with a lot of planning and thoughtful construction of lessons, we could in fact translate a classical model curriculum to the online space. So the opportunities that we have for teachers and assistant teachers are a little bit different, but they are fully remote to begin with. And so we have teachers from across the country that are working for the online academy that we have serving Arizona students, and similarly teachers from across the country serving families that are Texas students in the Great Hearts Online Texas Academy, right? And as we expand, we'll have something in Louisiana, et cetera. But those positions are different because they're 100% remote. They are full-time positions for the teachers. There are part-time opportunities, even in the remote setting, for our assistant teachers. The assistant teachers in the online setting are a little bit different. So they're generally not delivering lessons, but they are doing tutoring. They're working one-on-one with students in some cases, sometimes in small groups. And they're also doing a good bit of the grading and evaluation and feedback to students in support of the teachers that are running the online lessons. Does that answer the question?
It does. And are the schools September to May or June, or do you run all summer too?
Mid-August through the end of May.
Okay.
And we do have summer academies, but those are distinct and they're not always the same group of employees, right? So by and large, now our home office positions and our business professional non-teaching positions, those are year-long roles.
Okay, but the teaching positions are August through May.
That's correct.
Okay.
They're paid on an annual cycle,
Right.
24 pay periods, right? But but the employment period, the active time is August through the end of May.
Okay. And when you talk about the assistants and then the teachers, I thought it was great information to know that in each classroom, there are always two teachers. Is that correct? A
That's
full-time
right. That's
teacher
right.
and an assistant. That's really nice. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. And the lead teacher is the expert in the room insofar as they have experience teaching in Great Hearts setting, right? Experience with the curriculum, et cetera. It's a great way to enter into and explore the profession and the vocation of teaching, especially if you're a career changer, right? Because you're not shouldering the burden of lesson planning and evaluation of students and parent communications and the like. You're there modeling and observing and getting to try out, but with the support and mentorship of somebody else in the room who is experienced in the very class that you're instructing in.
Yeah, and how large are the classes typically?
At the elementary grade, there are typically 28 students. In the prep schools, so 6th through 12th grade, it varies, but anywhere from 20 to 25.
And if somebody is interested in the positions and they apply, can you describe your cycle of hiring and then what the application process looks like?
Sure. We have a 2-tiered application process. The first tier is really simple. It's largely a matter of entering contact information, describing what your interest is. Are you only interested in Phoenix brick and mortar schools? Are you only interested in online, et cetera? And then uploading a resume. We do a rolling cycle of applications. So we are constantly year-long and through the summer, we're reviewing candidates. The talent team usually initiates contact with the candidates, learns more about them, answers questions about the school. And then we are recommending candidates to our headmasters or our school leaders or the hiring managers, right, for the home office non-teaching roles, who will reach out to the candidate. Usually there's a phone or a Zoom conversation. Very often, if it's for a brick and mortar position and you travel and you're considering a move, for example, although that may be more rare in this case, but if someone is seriously applying to a position, maybe they're a new college grad or maybe their family will be moving, but right now they live out of state, we invite them to come to a campus and we support their travel such that they can come and visit a campus. Maybe they'll do a teaching demo, they'll do some observation, right? So it's a multi-tiered process, but it's all designed such that both the candidate who's exploring this opportunity and the hiring manager can feel really good and get all of their questions answered and determine whether this is someone who would really flourish in the community.
Okay. And just to make sure I understand it correctly, so as far as teaching positions and assistant positions in apprenticeship positions, you're currently hiring for mid-year, and then you're accepting interest applications for the school year starting next fall. Is
To
that
come.
correct?
That's correct. That's
Okay.
correct. Yep.
Okay.
And you'll find that those two applications are two different links, right? When you go
Okay.
to the
Yep.
GetSetUp
Yeah.
job board, you'll notice that one says mid-year, that's between now and the end of May. And the other says early interest, which basically means positions that would start July 1.
Okay.
That's
Great.
right.
Yeah. So you're doing your planning for the next school year and figuring
Already.
out.
In fact, we've already made, I was just looking at this morning, we've already made 5 hires for the next fall. It was very
Next fall.
exciting. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's right. Yeah.
That is great. Well, I think that's it on my, are there any other questions from anybody? You'd like to take the opportunity to ask them?
I do have one more. It's back to
Uh-huh.
the question about part-time. So when you're
Yes.
looking, it would need to be in the online function. Are there the assistants available? So when you look
Yes.
to apply, you're looking to apply, but it says online assistant.
Correct.
Okay,
Yes, it'll just be one application that is specific to the online teaching jobs. So whether you're interested in a full-time teaching job or a part-time assistant teacher job, you'll use that application that
Okay,
is online specific.
thank you. That's
That's
what I
right.
didn't know. Thank you.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Before we wrap up, then I just want to point everybody to the chat, because in the chat, I just posted a link to a Google Doc, which is just a feedback form on this event. We'd love if you can copy that link and take a few moments to fill it out. And I'll just wait a few minutes before we give you a chance to find that and copy it if you would like. That would help us a lot because we're planning a lot of events, but I do encourage you to go to our website, again, at jobs.getsetup.com, where you'll find information about Great Hearts. If you want to think about it a little bit more and read about it a little bit more and read the job descriptions, you'll find everything there. So Kian and Felicia, thanks so much for being with us today and sharing the information about Great Hearts and all the opportunities that are out there. I think it's exciting, and I love that you're open so much to bringing in people who don't have teaching experiences, but have that knowledge and passion to share what they know with children. I think that's
Yes.
so exciting, and I absolutely love it. So thank you so much for joining us. And thanks everybody for being with us today. We're so glad you're here. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
It was great.